All right, I want to pocket that foul-smelling liquor. I think that might be used later after the combat's over as an antiseptic for the wound. I'm also going to grab the loaded harpoon gun and the 3 bolts because I want to immediately put that into action at range against these other 3 marauders.
Quick thinking. Billy pockets the foul-smelling liquor flask, potential antiseptic for later, and grabs the loaded harpoon gun. 1d6 damage, ranged, 1 shot before reload, along with the 3 extra bolts, ready to use it against the 3 remaining marauders closing in. You're setting up for a ranged attack as they approach, capitalizing on the Gully's terrain. In Maze Rats, this will be an attack roll, 2d6 plus 1 for Billy's mercenary attack bonus. I'll dive straight into the action, running the NPCs and environment, and prompt for your roll and Billy's next move. The Gully's cramped walls pulse with the roar of engines above, dust and rock tumbling from the rim. Billy, shoulder wound burning, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, stuffs the liquor flask in his pocket, and slings the harpoon gun, 3 bolts tucked in his belt. The 4 dead marauders lie behind him, blood soaking the rocks. The remaining 3 marauders, the Mohawked lookout and 2 buggy drivers, are moving.
I want to fire the harpoon gun at the Mohawk lookout. He seems like the smartest one.
Perfect target. Billy's aiming the loaded harpoon gun at the Mohawked lookout, pegging him as the brains of the remaining 3 marauders. In Maze Rats, this is a ranged attack, 2d6 plus 1 for Billy's mercenary attack bonus. You're firing from the Gully at the lookout, who's up at the rim, likely 30-40 feet away, with partial cover from his position. Let's hit the action.
Real quick, I also think this would be at a disadvantage. I'm not real familiar with this harpoon gun, and I'm firing from a lower vantage point up.
Good call. That makes sense. Billy's unfamiliarity with the harpoon gun and the upward shot from the Gully to the rim justify disadvantage. So, for this ranged attack on the Mohawked lookout, you'll roll 3d6, take the lowest 2, and add +1, Billy's mercenary attack bonus.
All right, I rolled a 6, a 6, and a 2, but since I have to take the lowest, that's 8 plus my attack bonus of 1, which is still a 9.
Nice. Even with disadvantage, that's a strong roll. Billy's attack with the harpoon gun comes to 9. 6 plus 2 on 3d6, taking the lowest 2, plus 1 mercenary attack bonus, beating the Mohawked lookout's defense of 7 in Maze Rats. Straight to the action. Billy, blood seeping from his shoulder wound, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, steadies the unfamiliar harpoon gun and fires up at the Mohawked lookout, perched on the Gully's rim, 30 feet away. The barb spear launches with a sharp twang, punching through the lookout's scrap metal shoulder plate. 1d6 damage, say 4. He roars, blood spraying, but clings to the truck's cage, wounded but alive. The 2 buggy drivers, nearby, shout and rev their engines, one grabbing a spiked club, the other aiming a crossbow from the rim. Dust clouds swirl, and the Gully shadows offer Billy cover. The harpoon gun's empty. 3 bolts left. Needs reloading.
Got it.
What does Billy do?
I'll reload it because I have the cover of the Gully, so I'm going to reload the harpoon gun. But I want to know, does that crazy guy end up, doing something to these other 2 buggy drivers that causes a distraction?
Great. Billy's reloading the harpoon gun, 1 of 3 bolts, leaving 2 after, while using the Gully's cover. And you're checking if the crazy man pulls something to distract the 2 buggy drivers. In Maze Rats, reloading is a quick action, so no roll needed unless rushed, and the Gully shadows give you a moment. I'll run the NPCs, including the crazy man's potential antics, and see if he causes a distraction, then check in for Billy's next move. Straight to the action. Billy crouches in the Gully's rocky shadows, shoulder wound burning, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, as he slots a harpoon bolt into the gun, readying it, 2 bolts left. Above, the Mohawked lookout, bleeding from Billy's shot, 4 damage, grips the truck's cage, shouting, "Down there! Blast him!" The 2 buggy drivers, one with a spiked club, the other aiming a crossbow, pivot at the rim. Meanwhile, the crazy man, last seen tussling with a goon, reappears in a burst of chaos. He's bloodied, his clay-smeared arm gashed, but still cackling, wielding his jagged metal shard. He leaps onto the nearest buggy, shrieking, "Sky bites!" and stabs at the crossbow-wielding driver. The driver yelps, swinging his crossbow to block, missing his shot at Billy. The club-wielding driver turns, roaring, and swings at the crazy man, splitting their focus. The distraction buys Billy a brief window. The lookout's still spotting, but the drivers are tangled with the lunatic. The Gully's cover holds, and the harpoon gun's ready. What does Billy do?
Perfect. So first of all, I think the Mohawk lookout has a harpoon spear in his chest. I don't think he's actively looking anymore. These other 2 guys are distracted. And now that I've gotten a solid shot off with my own harpoon gun, I don't think I'll have disadvantage with it anymore. I got the feel and my first shot was true. So now I'm going to shoot at the guy with the crossbow who's been distracted or attacked by the crazy guy.
Got it. You're capitalizing on the chaos. You're right. The Mohawked lookout, hit hard by Billy's harpoon, 4 damage, is likely reeling, not actively spotting, with a spear in his chest. The 2 buggy drivers are distracted by the crazy man's wild attack, and Billy, now confident with the harpoon gun after a true shot, no longer has disadvantage. You're targeting the crossbow-wielding driver, tangled with the crazy man. In Maze Rats, this is a ranged attack. 2d6 plus 1 for Billy's mercenary attack bonus. The distraction might give you an edge, but we'll keep it standard for now.
Right. I rolled a 7 plus 1 gives me a total of 8.
Nice shot. Billy's attack roll of 8, 7 on 2d6, plus 1 mercenary attack bonus, with the harpoon gun, beats the crossbow-wielding driver's defense of 7 in Maze Rats. Straight to the action. Billy, crouched in the Gully's shadows, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, steadies the reloaded harpoon gun and fires at the crossbow-wielding driver up at the rim, who's grappling with the cackling crazy man. The barbed spear whistles, slamming into the driver's side. 1d6 damage. Say 3. Making him stagger, blood soaking his leathers. He's still standing, shoving the crazy man off, but distracted, dropping his crossbow.
Good. I think he's screaming. Well, real quick, tell me, what is the crazy man doing? You're about ready to tell me.
The crazy man, bloodied and wild, is slashing at the wounded crossbow-wielding driver with his jagged metal shard, cackling, "Sky eats!" His frenzied attack keeps the driver reeling, stumbling from the harpoon hit, 3 damage. The club-wielding driver, nearby, roars and swings at the crazy man, clipping his shoulder. But the lunatic keeps flailing, splitting their focus. The Mohawked lookout, spear in his chest, slumps against the truck's cage, barely conscious. Billy's in the Gully, harpoon gun empty, 2 bolts left, unnoticed.
I'm clearly going to reload the harpoon gun, and then I'm going to advance my position to see if I can get another harpoon shot on the last unwounded guy messing with the crazy man.
Got it. Billy's reloading the harpoon gun, 1 of 2 bolts left to take a shot at the club-wielding driver, the last unwounded marauder who's tangled with the crazy man. In Maze Rats, this is a ranged attack, 2d6 plus 1 for Billy's mercenary attack bonus, with no disadvantage since you're dialed in with the gun.
I got a 7 plus 1, again an 8.
Consistent shooting. Billy's attack roll of 8, 7 on 2d6 plus 1 mercenary attack bonus with the harpoon gun hits the club-wielding driver's defense of 7 in Maze Rats. Straight to the action. Billy, hunkered in the Gully shadows, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls. Reloads the harpoon gun, 1 bolt left, and fires at the club-wielding driver up at the rim. The barbed spear zips through the air, striking the marauder's thigh with one of its barbs. 1d6 damage, say 4, making him howl and stumble, blood gushing. He's still up, swinging his spiked club at the crazy man, who dances back, slashing with his metal shard and shrieking. The crossbow-wielding driver, wounded from Billy's last shot, scrambles for his dropped weapon. The mohawked lookout slumps, out of the fight against the truck. Engines snarl as the truck starts moving. What does Billy do?
Well, I'm going to reload the last bolt into the harpoon gun, but I think I'm also, while I'm doing this, going to try to intimidate these wounded guys and get them to give up.
Billy's reloading his final harpoon bolt, leaving 0 after, while trying to intimidate the 2 wounded marauders, the club-wielding driver, 4 damage, and the crossbow-wielding driver, 3 damage, to make them surrender. In Maze Rats, intimidation is a willpower check, +1 for Billy, to bend their morale, and reloading is a quick action you can pair with it. Given Billy's kills and their injuries, we'll roll 2d6 +1, but no advantage since they're desperate and cornered. Straight to the action.
I have a 7 + 1 for a total of 8 on my intimidation roll.
Solid effort. Billy's willpower roll of 8, 7 on 2d6 +1 for willpower for intimidation, is a partial success in Maze Rats, meaning the wounded marauders are shaken, but there's a catch. Straight to the action. Billy, blood dripping from his shoulder wound, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, slots the last harpoon bolt into the gun, 0 left, and rises from the gully shadows. He bellows, "Drop your weapons or you're dead like the rest." His voice echoes, backed by the carnage of 4 dead marauders below. The club-wielding driver, thigh gushing blood, 4 damage, hesitates, his spiked club lowering as fear flickers in his eyes. The crossbow-wielding driver, clutching his side, 3 damage, freezes, his hand hovering over his dropped weapon. But the catch? The truck's engine roars louder, and the mohawked lookout, barely conscious, slurs, "Get him, you cowards." The crossbow wielder, spurred by desperation, lunges for his weapon, while the club wielder raises his club again, though shakily. The crazy man, still slashing wildly, cackles and leaps at the club wielder, keeping him off balance.
Got it. I'll shoot the last bolt at the guy that's reaching for his crossbow.
Quick decision. Billy's firing his final harpoon bolt at the crossbow-wielding driver, who's lunging for his dropped weapon. In Maze Rats, this is a ranged attack. 2d6 +1 for Billy's mercenary attack bonus. The guy's desperation and the crazy man's chaos give Billy a clear shot.
I rolled a 9 + 1 is a 10.
Deadly aim. Billy's attack roll of 10. 9 on 2d6, +1 mercenary attack bonus with the harpoon gun, smashes past the crossbow-wielding driver's defense of 7 in Maze Rats. Straight to the action. Billy, grimacing through his shoulder wound, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, steadies the harpoon gun in the gully shadows and fires his last bolt. The barbed spear rockets out, punching through the crossbow-wielding driver's chest. 1d6 damage, say 5, as he grabs his weapon. He collapses, dead, blood pooling on the rim. The club-wielding driver, wounded, 4 damage, shouts in panic, swinging wildly at the crazy man, who dances back, cackling. The truck's engine screams, tires spinning. As it starts to peel away, the mohawked lookout slumped inside, barely alive. The crazy man slashes at the club wielder, keeping him pinned. The gully's quiet but tense. What does Billy do?
I don't want this vehicle to get away, and I would like to use whichever vehicle, keep it and take the gas from the other vehicles. But I'm out of ranged weapons, so I have to charge into the fray. The first question is, do I get there in time? Because if I do, I'm going to use my Bowie knife.
High stakes. Billy's charging out of the gully to stop the truck from escaping, aiming to use his Texas Bowie knife if he gets there in time. You want to either keep the vehicle or siphon gas from it or the buggies. In Maze Rats, Getting to the truck before it speeds off is a physical challenge, likely a dexterity check. +1 for Billy to sprint and climb the gully slope fast enough.
All right, I'm going to roll for it.
Tires kicking up dust as it starts to pull away. The mohawked lookout slumped inside. The club-wielding driver, wounded, swings at the crazy man, who cackles and slashes back. What's your roll?
7 + 1 in dexterity for a total of 8.
Billy's dexterity check of 8, 7 on 2d6 + 1 dexterity, is a partial success in maze rats, meaning he reaches the truck in time but with a complication. You're charging with the Texas Bowie knife to stop it, aiming to keep or siphon the vehicle. Straight to the action. Billy surges out of the gully, shoulder wounds screaming, 5 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, scrambling up the rocky slope. The truck's tires spin, gaining traction, but Billy vaults onto the rim just as it lurches forward. He leaps, Bowie knife gleaming, and grabs the truck's cage, hanging on. The complication. The mohawked lookout, bloodied and barely conscious, 4 damage, flails weakly with a rusty knife from inside, slashing at Billy. 1d6 damage, say 2. Billy takes a shallow cut, 3 HP left, but clings to the moving truck. The crazy man and club wielder brawl behind, and the buggies sit idle. What does Billy do with the Bowie knife now?
I'm going to use the Bowie knife to finish off the Mohawk guy that just cut me. Here comes,
brutal and decisive.
Right, here comes the roll. I'm going to have a +1 for my attack bonus and a +1 for the Bowie knife. Woo! 10 + 2 for a total of 12.
Lethal strike. Billy's attack roll of 12, 10 on 2d6 +1 mercenary attack bonus, +1 Bowie knife, obliterates the mohawked lookout's defense of 7 in maze rats. Straight to the action. Billy, clinging to the lurching truck's cage, shoulder wound burning, 3 HP, -1 to left arm rolls. Drives his Texas Bowie knife into the mohawked lookout, who's weakly slashing with a rusty knife. The blade sinks deep into the lookout's chest, 1d6 damage, say 6, finishing him instantly, his body slumping lifeless inside the cage. The truck swerves, driverless, and slows, scraping against a rock. Behind, the crazy man cackles, grappling with the wounded club-wielding driver, who's barely standing. The 2 buggies sit idle at the gully's rim.
So the big question here is, can I get the crazy man to calm down? So I'm going to try a willpower roll. And then I would love to question this last surviving member of the Marauders.
Smart move to wrap this up. Billy wants to calm the crazy man with a willpower roll, and then interrogate the last surviving Marauder, the wounded club-wielding driver. +1 for Billy.
So I'm going to roll 2d6 with a +1. I got a 6 + 1 is 7 to try to calm the crazy man.
Tough roll, but let's see how it plays out. Billy's willpower roll of 7, 6 on 2d6, +1 for willpower, to calm the crazy man, is a failure or weak partial success in maze rats, meaning he doesn't fully succeed, but I'll lean into a minor effect given Billy's prior influence. Straight to the action. Billy, bloodied and battered, 3 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, stands on the gully's rim, the truck idling beside him, mohawked lookout dead inside. He faces the crazy man, who's slashing wildly at the wounded club-wielding driver. 4 damage, cackling, "Sky eats." Billy raises a hand, voice steady but strained. "Easy. Enough blood." The crazy man's eyes flicker to Billy, his toothy grin faltering, but he doesn't stop entirely. He backs off slightly, still twitching and muttering, gripping his jagged metal shard, not attacking, but not calm either. The club-wielding driver, bleeding heavily, drops his club and collapses to his knees, gasping, "Done. I'm done." He's no longer a threat, ripe for questioning. The buggies sit nearby, engines off. What does Billy do? Try again with the crazy man? Question the Marauder now? Or something else?
Yeah, I got to try again with the crazy guy. If I can get him to calm down, then I think I can question this last marauder. I want to add in some verbiage about how this crazy guy can come with me in the vehicles if he can just calm down. And I think this would give me advantage.
Great approach. Billy's doubling down to calm the crazy man with a willpower check, offering him a spot in the vehicles to sweeten the deal, which justifies advantage due to the tempting offer in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. In Maze Rats, you'll roll 3d6.
All right, here it comes. All right, excellent. I got a 6, a 4, a 1, so I take the 6 and the 4, 10 plus 1 on my willpower, taking it to an 11.
Fantastic roll. Billy's willpower check of 11. 6 plus 4 on 3d6 with advantage, plus 1 willpower, is a clear success in Maze Rats, enough to sway the crazy man. Straight to the action. Billy, battered and bleeding, 3 HP, minus 1 to left arm rolls, stands on the gully's rim, the idling truck and dead mohawk to look out behind him. The crazy man, twitching and muttering, grips his bloody metal shard, looming over the kneeling, wounded club-wielding driver. 4 damage. Billy locks eyes with the lunatic, voice firm but enticing. Cool it, man. You want a ride? Stick with me in these wheels, but you gotta chill now. The crazy man's wild grin softens, his muttering fading. He lowers his shard, nodding jerkily, eyes darting to the truck and buggies. Ride. Sky moves. Ha, he rasps, finally calm, though still twitchy, ready to follow for now. The club-wielding driver, gasping, stays down, defenseless and ripe for questioning. The gully's quiet, dust settling, vehicles waiting. What does Billy do?
Let me think for a second. Hold on, let me think. All right, 2 things. 1, with that great success with the crazy guy, I want to better my connection with him and I ask him what his name is. Then 2, I'm going to go over and interrogate this wounded marauder with advantage and we'll see how that roll goes. What do you think?
Love the plan. Billy's capitalizing on his strong willpower success, roll of 11, to deepen his connection with the crazy man by asking his name, then interrogating the wounded marauder with advantage, likely due to the marauder's defeated state and Billy's intimidating presence.
Perfect. What's the crazy man's name? Just generate it for me.
The crazy man, now calmer but still twitchy, tilts his head as Billy asks his name. His clay-smeared face cracks into a toothy grin, and he rasps, Zek. Sky whisper, Zek. He taps his chest with his jagged metal shard, eyes gleaming with manic pride. Straight to the action. Billy, bloodied, 3 HP, stands on the gully's rim, the idling truck and dead mohawk to look out nearby. Zek, the crazy man, hovers close, muttering about the sky but loyal for now, gripping his shard. The wounded club-wielding marauder kneels, bleeding heavily.
I'm going to roll for advantage, plus 1 on my willpower. Ooh, yeah. I got a 6, 4, 2, so I take the 6 and the 4 for 10, plus 1, roll of an 11. He's going to tell me, like, information about other marauders from his group.
Awesome roll. Billy's willpower check of 11. 6 plus 4 on 3d6 with advantage, plus 1 willpower, is a strong success in Maze Rats, meaning the wounded marauder spills key info about other marauders from his group under Billy's interrogation. You also deepened your bond with Zek, the crazy man, by learning his name. Straight to the action. Billy, battered and bleeding, 3 HP, minus 1 to left arm rolls, looms over the kneeling club-wielding marauder, whose blood soaks the dirt. 4 damage. Zek stands nearby, muttering sky whisper nonsense, but watching eagerly, his metal shard twitching. Billy leans in, bowie knife glinting, and growls, Talk, or you're next. Tell me about your crew, where's the rest? The marauder, pale and shaking, cracks under the pressure. He gasps, We're the Razor Hounds, out of Junkspire. 2 days west. Got a camp? 30 more, maybe 40. They'll come for you. Kroll, Our boss. He don't forgive. He coughs blood, spilling that the main camp has bikes, fuel stashes, and chained beasts they use for fights. But it's heavily guarded. The truck and buggies nearby were their scout rig, low on gas but loaded with scrap. The gully's quiet, the truck idling, buggies untouched. Zek grins, eyeing the vehicles. What does Billy do? Press for more details? Deal with the marauder? Secure the vehicles? Or something else?
I tell Zek to go gather up as many weapons as he wants and bring them back to the vehicle. Hopefully he'll gather them. I think that's a randomizer. You can just make up if he does that or not. And then I am going to press this marauder for more information. Give me more.
Great plan. Keeping the pressure on. Billy's instructing Zek to gather weapons from the fallen marauders and bring them to the vehicles. And you want me to randomize whether Zek complies. Then, you're pressing the wounded marauder for more info with another interrogation. In Maze Rats, the first action, Zek gathering weapons, doesn't need a roll from Billy since it's Zek's choice. So I'll randomly determine his success. Using a d6. 4 plus means he does it well. 3 or less means he struggles or deviates. The interrogation will be another willpower check. +1 for Billy, with advantage again since the marauder's broken and Billy's got him on the ropes. Straight to the action. Billy, blood dripping from his shoulder wound. 3 HP, -1 to left arm rolls. Stands on the gully's rim, the truck idling and buggies nearby. Zek, the crazy man, hovers with his metal shard, grinning. Billy points to the gully and dead marauders below, barking, Zek, grab every weapon you find. Bats, knives, whatever, and haul him to the truck. Zek's eyes light up, muttering, Sky wants steel. Ha! He scrambles toward the gully. Random roll. 5. Eagerly collecting gear. He's on task, snatching the spiked bats, knives, and harpoon gun from the corpses, piling them with surprising focus, though he keeps one bat for himself, swinging it playfully. Meanwhile, Billy turns to the kneeling marauder, bloodied and trembling, 4 damage, and leans closer, Bowie knife in hand. Give me more. Who's Kroll? Where's Junkspire exactly? And what's waiting there? Roll 3d6.
I'm also going to give myself a +1 for the willpower and a +1 because I'm using the Bowie knife as an intimidator. I have a 4-4-1, so I'm going to take the 8 + 2 for a total of 10.
Billy's willpower check of 10, 4 + 4 on 3d6 with advantage, +1 willpower, +1 for using the Bowie knife as a threat, is a solid success in Maze Rats, ensuring the wounded marauder spills more details about Crawl, Junkspire, and what's waiting there. Zek's already on task, gathering weapons effectively. Straight to the action. Billy, grimacing through his shoulder wound, towers over the kneeling marauder, blood soaking the dirt. The truck idles nearby, buggies silent. Zek's in the gully, gleefully piling up spiked bats, a knife, a harpoon gun, and bolts, humming Sky Whisper chants, dragging them toward the truck with one bat slung over his shoulder. Billy presses the Bowie knife's blade close to the marauder's throat, snarling, What's waiting? Talk. Kroll's a giant, runs Junkspire, old refinery, west, by the Red Scar Canyon. 2 days' drive. He's got 40 hounds, armed to the teeth, guns, blades, 3 war rigs with flamethrowers. They breed hyenas, chain 'em for fights. There's a fuel vault, but it's trapped. Explosives. Kroll's after you, 'cause you hit our scout crew. He collapses, sobbing, out of info. Zek dumps the weapons in the truck. 2 bats, 1 knife, 1 harpoon gun with 3 bolts. The gully's quiet, but the horizon's dusty, like something stirring.
I quickly put this last marauder out of his misery. As a mercenary, I can't leave him alive, so I finish him quick, and then I want to siphon off fuel from the other vehicles into the best vehicle, of which I'm going to drive off in with Zek. Understood?
Understood. That's a cold and pragmatic move fitting Billy's mercenary grit. You're finishing off the wounded marauders swiftly, then siphoning fuel from the other vehicles to prep the best one for Billy and Zek to drive off in. In Maze Rats, executing the defenseless marauder doesn't require a roll since he's broken and poses no threat. Siphoning fuel and picking the best vehicle is a practical task, but given Billy's wounded state, 3 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, and time pressure, dust on the horizon, we'll call for a dexterity check. +1 for Billy to do it efficiently. Straight to the action. Billy, bloodied and resolute, 3 HP, -1 to left arm rolls, stands on the gully's rim. The idling truck and 2 buggies behind him. Zek stands by Billy's side, using the jagged metal shard like a piece of oversized jewelry.
All right, let's just move into this. So I rolled a 4 + 1 for my dex, means that I struggle with the transferring of this fuel. It's not that successful, which means I'm going to pick the best vehicle with the most fuel, but it also means we got to get out of here. I've got to find some room to heal. I've got a last chart. It's a 1d6. I'm going to roll. There's some kind of feature away from this Kroll guy that has me interested. Let me roll what it is. It's a 5. There's trees. I can see like a treed or forest area way off in the distance. This means the vehicle, although it has fuel, I think it's only 1/3 full. And we just got to get in and go. I must be too weak from my injuries. I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. And I think we'll call that good. Let me shut you off. All right. I actually think that worked very well. That was good. It was a little bit over repetitive, but not bad. I think it's getting better. And we've got all kinds of extra information. I've got Zek, the crazy guy, with me. And hopefully he doesn't turn against me, but at least I have a friend. I wish I could have got more fuel out of this vehicle, but clearly we got everything I could, and I'm so jacked or messed up that it just wasn't working, and I had to get out of there. Especially it said something about dust on the horizon, like maybe something was coming our way. We'll end there. I kind of like this. I think we'll stay on this. I'm not sure how many times I'll do this, but I like keeping the apocalypse thread going. Please put in the comments if you like the weird kind of clickbaity start with what Grok 3 will do in sexy mode. It's kind of interesting to see how Grok works and to push those bounds and hopefully hit on some humorous sides. I'll never go too graphic with the other stuff, but the replacing with different words I found kind of funny. But who knows? Maybe folks hate it. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs inside the apocalypse. See ya. Bye.